Well, we're finding more and more things are actually causing people to really understand that cybersecurity attacks are going to affect the fundamentals of the business. I think with Facebook, it was the additional layer of they're in so much turmoil already and so much scrutiny already. It's just another sign that it's going to be troubling days ahead.
Given the context for Facebook specifically, Cambridge Analytica, et cetera, what was your reaction? Were you surprised that there was a breach of this magnitude?
Well, one, I think Facebook takes security very seriously. I was surprised in some ways because of how seriously they take security. On the other hand, understanding the details of the breach, it was completely understandable in lots of ways. They have lots of technologists, they're moving fast, and the compromise itself and the vulnerability itself was an interplay of a whole bunch of different errors that actually went wrong at the same time.
It sounds almost like you're saying that they innovate in the possible, thing that falls to the wayside is your security of your own data.
I mean, that is definitely true. I mean, one way to think about it is that we have not designed our technology ecosystem to be 100% assured and secure. We value speed. And one of the things that you see is one of the reasons that so many companies are successful is because they're fast at building technologies that all of us love and adopt and use. The side effect of that, unfortunately, is that that speed comes at a cost.
I mean, I think that's the case with every single vulnerability in society. Everything was built to be an open system. Things were built to be easy. Things were built to be dummy-proof. And now in this day and age, we're realizing that all those great things with, the standards by which all these systems were built are the reasons why they are, in fact, so vulnerable. So what happens now? The pendulum swings the other way. We sacrifice innovation, the speed of innovation for security?
I don't know if we'll be able to put the speed of innovation genie back in the box. I do think we're going to have to raise standards. I think there's lots of fundamental things that people can and should be doing. What actually scares me more is not the Facebook, because again, I think Facebook and many companies have good security. It's the fact that our entire economy is becoming more digital. And frankly, most of the companies that are starting to actually turn their services into technologies that are digitally connected are just not as sophisticated as security as even someone like Facebook.
What specifically are you talking about?
If you look at the rise, whether you look at healthcare, whether you look at the transportation ecosystem, we're connecting more and more aspects of our lives and we're turning them into compute. And you have a bunch of companies where the software industry just 10 years ago used to be an industry of relatively few names in the overall ecosystem. If you look in the next 10 years, almost every company is becoming a software company in some way.
So healthcare, meaning when you access your test results online, you think that that's not built with security in mind?
Well, I would say it's built with the same security as all the other things that we're seeing around us today.
That are getting hacked.
Exactly. So,
can I just ask one question? We hear about what I would describe as consumer internet companies being hacked relatively regularly. What you haven't heard a lot about yet is banks being hacked. And the question is that because they have better security? And if they have better security, why is everybody not using it? Are the healthcare companies using the same kind? What's the distinction? Is there a distinction?
Well, I think there is a distinction. So one, banks have been focused on security for longer because, frankly, they've been the targets of fraud. People have always gone after the money. You can argue that it's a relatively recent focus area to realize that data is money.
Right.
That's something that the internet companies realized 10 plus years ago, and criminals are now realizing in the last 5 years. So that's a change. The other aspect of it is banks do innovate less. I mean, if you look at one of the biggest disruptions that's coming along now is in the financial services sector and in the consumer financial services sector. And so I would argue that banks are having the other outcropping of that is because they innovated at a slower pace typically, they're now being disrupted.